and to do this and to do this and to do that and to walk off. And you know what you could do? You can have him win, and then you have Gunther beat the shit out of him afterwards and get all the heat, and then you have all his old friends come for the save. Cody comes and CM Punk comes, and then you have the big moment, and they all put their hands up, and everyone goes home happy. What's wrong with that? My kids, yeah, they did this after he tapped. After he tapped. My kids don't watch wrestling anymore. They come up to me, they're like, John Cena lost in his last match? Why? Why would they do that? I'm like, well, he lost fair and square. Gunther's a man. And by the way, we love Gunther in our household. Love the freaking guy. Gunther went in there and told WWE he wanted to be on this show. And that's the only reason why he was on the show before WrestleMania. Love Gunther. Walter, it's my son's name. Love him. He's a great guy. I love and support his career, and I love everything he's doing, and good for him for getting this moment. It worked out great for him, and I hope he's able to capitalize on it. But that's not what we wanted. The match should have never been Cena versus Gunther to begin with, and the result should have never been Cena losing, and it sure as hell should never have been him tapping. At the very least, if you wanted him to lose, let him go out. No tap. Went out on his shield. But this, like giving up, the antithesis of what he represents, that is not good. I'm sorry, that's not good. I'm sorry if someone gets offended by me saying that. And this is the fun thing about pros. Am I actually like really truly mad about this? No. There's a lot more important things to be mad about right now in the world. But when I saw that on Saturday, I was like, really? All those kids, all those people with the merch, all those people that have supported this.
So welcome to this edition of WrestleCourt. That soundbite was by Ariel Helwani, a fantastic sports journalist, of course, from here. Canadian born and bred. He has some fantastic podcasts, which I've checked out. Again, he's one of the few guys, and of course, you got to support your Canadian guys. Nevertheless, people say, "Oh, he lives in the States now." No, he's always shown representation for here in Canada, despite all the crazy things that are going on in this country, and of course across the world. But he had that soundbite, pretty upset about the John Cena result. My take on that is it was the right call. I know it's going to be like, what? What is he saying? It was the right call. I literally clapped when I saw it. Now, some people said Cena should have just passed out, this and that and the third, give him his proper send-off. John Cena got his proper send-off by doing this whole thing, period. Some guys just do a match and they retire. John Cena had a full year. I mean, John Cena's idea was, of course, doing like 200 and some days, which obviously would have been crazy. But losing to Dominic Mysterio, that's a whole different conversation for another day in the future. But losing to Gunther, I understand why it happened. Now, a lot of people don't like Triple H because of what he's done, apparently holding people back. The fact Stephanie was all over Saturday night's main event, kind of like, people look at it as a dictatorship. They don't like, trust me, Triple H has done some things that I'm like, ugh, you kind of question. Also, remember, he's not running the show in terms of the whole brand. I mean, TKO could come and knock on his door tomorrow and say, you're done. And it does happen in business. So, but, some people say he likes the spotlight. He's got the Puffy syndrome where Sean Combs syndrome, like he likes to be in everything. People are still upset about his 2-hour retirement speech, not retirement speech, Hall of Fame speech. Like there's so many things people say. Let's forget about that. Why Gunther winning and tapping John Cena out is good? Because you have to rebuild him. You had him lose to Sami Zayn after one of the most phenomenal Intercontinental Championship reigns in years. One of the most phenomenal championship reigns in the last 30 years in professional wrestling. Period. His reign as Intercontinental Champion was a very good one. I actually enjoyed watching his matches. And if you guys want to see him even before that, he had a match against Ilya Dragunov during the pandemic in WWE UK, which was one of the most grueling matches I've ever seen in professional wrestling. And when I say that, it was just hard-hitting. It was with passion. Just Google it. Dragunov versus Walter. That's before they gave him the whole Gunther thing. But anyways, you had him lose to Sami Zayn. What's Sami Zayn doing right now? You had him lose to Jey Uso, who was on a hot streak. They basically diffused Jey Uso's hot streak and now has him back in the tag team. Jey Uso is one of the hottest people in professional wrestling, one of the hottest people in all of sports entertainment and sports, period. And they just diffused him. So, well, you can go back and tag with your brother and let the Yeet chants just kind of die away like a dimming fire. So you have to rebuild Gunther. You got to put him back in that power hole that he once was. And then, of course, that loss to CM Punk, which turned into Seth Rollins cashing in the Money in the Bank at SummerSlam. So those are 3 losses that were like, ugh. And then every time he loses those matches, he disappears. Usually in the old school, you lose, you're right back the next day. Sometimes you're back the next hour, or you're beating up the guy in the dressing room. I don't know if you guys all remember, but some of you guys are way too young. Some of you guys weren't even born yet. WrestleMania 7, Hogan beats Slaughter for the title. This whole American moment, everybody's up in an uproar. Everybody's like, yeah, Hulk Hogan. I was never a Hulk Hogan fan, by the way. That's a whole different show for a different day. Hogan goes in the back, and Slaughter throws the fire in his face. The villain is still there, although he loses. And that whole moment kind of solidifies the fact that Sergeant Slaughter may have lost, but it just shows you how powerful he was as a villain. Beating the Ultimate Warrior at the Royal Rumble and winning the WWF title. Moments like that, those are real villains. And Gunther is a villain. He's never going to be a guy that people are going to cheer for. He's not a face type of wrestler. WWE needs villains. WWE needs storylines. They don't have any of that. So to get Gunther in there, let him go through AJ Styles and all the other guys that were approaching him in the back after his speech on Monday Night Raw, post beating John Cena, Otis and R-Truth, get through all those guys, get through AJ, and then go after Cody Rhodes. That's what I would do. I would get him to go after Cody Rhodes. Take that world title and run with it for a while, and then maybe Roman Reigns or somebody could take it off of him. But at the same time, maintain his dominance. Just like Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns had that title. Although he lost to Cody, he maintained his dominance because there was a storyline behind it. Good storylines protect characters. Let me repeat that again. Good storylines protect characters. There was no storyline for Gunther really against Sami Zayn. There was no real storyline with Jey Uso. It was, but it wasn't. And both those characters have been diminished since beating him. Got a 47-year-old CM Punk who is the only one whose character has continued to shine because he was CM Punk before all this. So WWE, this one particular time, made the right decision. John Cena is done. There is no storyline for him. There is no second level for him. He's not going to come back to Raw in 3 weeks and jump Gunther and say, hey, I'm coming out of retirement. I'll fight you at the Royal Rumble. He's not doing that. It was the right decision. WWE needs to build characters. They need to build something. They are not in a good position right now with TV ratings. And if you think they are, go look at the numbers. They are not in a good... Look at the show yesterday. On Monday. Everybody knew Austin Theory was the Masked Man. That's the most obvious thing ever. It was plastered all over the news, all over social media. Doesn't look good. Everybody's like, whatever. So WWE needs somebody. They need Gunther. Gunther, as I'm going to call him, is a super villain. He's got to maintain this role and become that super villain. Get back into his dominant role like he once had when he was the Intercontinental Champion. I think that's one of his greatest title reigns in the history of his career. And one of the best title reigns in the last 30 years in wrestling. And I'll say the best title reigns, the best title reigns that I've enjoyed the last how long? Okada's reign, Gunther's Intercontinental reign, and Orange Cassidy's international title reign. That is what wrestling is. Now, some people prefer storylines over wrestling. I love good matches, but I like a storyline to go with it. Some people prefer storylines over matches. I prefer matches over storylines, but I would prefer a good storyline with a fantastic match. Will Ospreay and Kyle Fletcher at AEW Revolution. Fantastic storyline. That's what I'm talking about. Tony Khan has fumbled a lot of storylines just like WWE has, but when you have something like that and it turns into a good match, then there's something. So, John Cena losing, I know Vince Russo apparently was in an uproar about it, and I understand where they're coming from. Trust me, it's not a disrespect to Vince Russo because he says a lot of good things, a lot of smart things. I think me and him would have a great debate over this and a respectful debate. I just don't see it. I think John Cena, he was already ruined when they announced these tour dates. If they had just let John Cena come randomly and then say the last match was at Saturday night's main event, December 13th, things would have been much better. So say, okay, his last match is December 13th, but he'll be here for the year, random times. But when you start giving people dates, it kind of kills the momentum. Because now you're trying to fit all these things within a certain period of time. WWE, they didn't botch the match. They botched the entire retirement tour. And that's where I'm going to leave this. So as I close this WrestleCourt episode, I want you to listen to this clip from John Cena. And as he says, and I totally agree, it's time to shut it down. Shut it down. Totally agree with him on that. Sometimes your body just cannot keep up with today's shows, today's systems, plans. Just like basketball. You know, it's like a basketball player retiring and trying to come out of retirement at 45 and trying to play today's game. Although half these guys take time off with their load management mentality, but still. So listening to John Cena in one of his interviews, I understand where he's coming from. Totally. But when people say WWE botched his last match, they didn't botch the match. They botched the entire tour. So this meant nothing to me. They should have never announced dates for him. They should have kept that quiet. Maybe announce it a week before. Let him come for 200 days and then say, hey, the 13th is the last of it. Give him some type of closing storyline, something fantastic, not just matches. This is a guy who's had a legendary run, whether you like him or not. Give him something to go out and say, hey, man, that last storyline with John Cena was amazing. There's nothing there. The whole Rock situation with Travis Scott, that was a big botch. So to say that this was a botch and everybody's in the uproar, look at the whole year. Look at the whole body of work of this closing tour. And then tell me, even if this match on the 13th was a bad decision. The whole thing was a bad decision, period. So that's my take on the John Cena retirement tour. Listen to this clip. He says it all here. So that's a wrap, ladies and gentlemen. That's WrestleCourt.
I'm kind of aging out now as our attention span gets smaller. So
Do you really believe you're aging out?
Listen, I chose to retire.
Yeah.
I made a promise to the WWE that I would not stick around when my skills can't match the product. And they can't. I'm 48. My 40-yard time is gone like this. I can't match up with the product now. And that's okay, because what I do isn't who I am. And the realization of that has helped me come to no, let these guys have it now, because they're really good.